Hey guys, this is Carrie, and in this video we're going to add a slideshow like this to our website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on, or I'm going to log into REPL, then I'm going to click into my REPLs, and I actually want to add this to my About Me site. So I'm going to click on my About Me site right here and open it up. You can actually add this to a brand new site if you like, or to any site. So since we've just started to learn how to code, this actually is going to take a lot of skills that might be kind of outside of where we're comfortable right now. So what I made is I made a quick little cheat sheet or coding club toolbox that we could use in order to add this to our page. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to need to combine all three of our programming languages. So first off, for the HTML part, I'm going to read the directions here, and it says copy and paste this section into my HTML. So I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to copy and paste that into my HTML. Now this can go anywhere you want on the body of your HTML document, but the important thing is that it actually has to be above this script tag. So if you want this slideshow to appear right below your name, you could put it at the very top of your page here. Actually, I think I will put mine there. Now, the most important thing when you're copying and pasting from another website or a toolbox, like the one that we're using, is that we have to indent these manually using the tab key in order to make it line up. So I just want to outline a little bit about what we're doing here. So here, I actually put a comment, which is green text on the page. And this green text doesn't get read when the website tries to translate it into what the website is. Basically, this is not code. This is for you guys and for me to understand it. So the slideshow is going to be shown in this div. So what a div is it's a container. In this case, my div is this black container here that contains one image element inside of it. So this will be my image element right here inside. And so the way that an image element actually decides which picture to show is there's an attribute called the source. And if we replace the source with our file name, what it will do is it will actually display that picture. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a blank file name here, and then we're going to use JavaScript to change that file name so that it can change which picture is being displayed by changing the source that's being displayed. And you'll notice that source is spelled SRC, source without the vowels. All right, so next up, this actually takes care of the HTML. The only content on the page is this black box and a picture that source is going to change. We're going to next bring in the CSS part here. So the HTML ends here. So I scroll down and it says CSS. Copy and paste this section to your CSS. So I'm going to copy and paste from here, not to the JavaScript, that was a trap, to the CSS. And if you have other CSS on your page, you can kind of just skip that and add a couple of extra lines and paste down here. Now this one, they've already got the tabbing right. So you might be a little bit curious about some of the CSS that you just copied and pasted. So the number below is going to set the height of our image. And the way that that works is here, we're used to seeing the element type. So for example, here we have H1, and that will select the H1 on the page. What I did is, instead of selecting it using the element type H1, because I didn't know if you had other images on your page, and I didn't want to change the heights of your other images, I just selected it using something called an ID. So I gave my image a brand new attribute, where I said the name of this image is, the ID of it, the identification, the name is slideshow. So here, when I say hashtag slideshow, that says find the thing with a name of slideshow. And so I'm going to set the height of that to be 300 pixels so that all the pictures have the same height. Because if I don't do that, what will happen is some of the pictures will be really big and some of them will be really small, and I want them all to fit inside of this box. Next up, I did something similar. I gave my div an ID of slideshow container. So you guessed it. In order to style this div, we're going to say hashtag slideshow container. So you can actually change all of these values. I made my background almost black using the color picker to get that right hashtag for it. Text align center puts the image in the center. padding of 20 pixels gave me some space on the top and bottom of 20 pixels. If you want more black space between the border and your image, you can increase this number. Border radius made this a little bit curved. And if you notice, I actually have a little shadow. It's like a gray shadow around the outside of this container. And that was made using my box shadow here. And I don't actually really know what these numbers do, we can look it up. But I know that this looks good. So you can play around with changing those until it looks how you want it to look, or we can look it up together. All right, the last part is the JavaScript, and this is going to be the most complicated. So let's load in our JavaScript. So for the JavaScript, we're going to copy and paste this section to our JavaScript all the way from here to here. So I go in, and I grab everything from here to here. Copy, paste. Now there's a lot to understand here. And we can actually understand quite a bit of it as we go through and look at making this display our pictures. So what we have to do is we have to read the comments. And you'll notice that the exact syntax for the comments, like here it's // and //. Oops. Here it's this weird exclamation point -- arrow thing. And then in JavaScript, it's //. No matter how the comments are formatted, which does change language to language, it will always show a comment as green. So here the directions say, select the elements we are interacting with. In this case, the slideshow. So I already did that for us. The same way that in CSS, we used #slideshow to select it and add styles. In JavaScript, in order to change what's going on in our slideshow picture, we select, using this command document.querySelector, the thing with ID of slideshow. Now down below, you can change the repeat time to a larger number to slow down the image. So if we want to make a slower slideshow, we should increase this to 2000. We're going to keep image number starting at 0. And the reason why is if you look ahead, you can actually see here, and I'm going to change this actually, because these are my image names. So let me just delete those from my old slideshow, and I'll do the same in our toolbox so that these start off blank. What we're going to do is we're going to paste in links or image file names here, and these will actually correspond to our images. And so in computer science, the way that things are numbered inside of these square parentheses, which create a list, is the first one is called the 0th image. And that's why I start off with 0 here. If you wanted to start off with your first picture first, you could change this to a 1. So 0, 1, 2, 3. This will be picture 3, even though it looks like it should be 1, 2, 3, 4. OK, so let's add some images here. So there are a couple of images that you might want to add. The first example might be one from the internet. So I love Australian cattle dogs, so I've got a bunch of Australian cattle dog pictures here. So to add a picture from the internet, you can do a Google search. Then click the picture that you like, for example, this one. And then you can use the right-hand click or control click. I hope it's control click. Yeah, control click for me. I'm not exactly sure what it is on the Chromebook, but we'll figure it out. And then you want to avoid the trap here. Avoid copy link address. We want to copy the address of just the image. And you can, now this will be in my clipboard. And to paste it in, you can do Command V or Control V. And you'll see that the URL for that image appears. So right now, I've got for my images, one image in between these quotes. We're going to add some other images, but I'm going to add them in a different way. You might also want to add images that you took. So I created a folder on my desktop called Pictures. So to add these images to my project, I'm just going to take them, and I'm going to drag the files here so that they're below, or that they're in this group here. So background.jpg, carry.jpg, and then I've got this one with this crazy name here. So I'm going to type those in, background.jpg. And I actually have to include the file extensions here, so make sure that it matches exactly. Carry.jpg spelled differently. And this one I definitely don't want to type in, so I'm going to click here, and I'm going to do rename. And I'm going to delete the old name. I'm going to delete this all caps JPEG and make it lowercase. And let's see what this one was. This is a picture that I took when I was hiking. So I'm going to call this Monroe.jpg because I think it's from Mount Monroe in New Hampshire. Okay, cool. You can actually add as many pictures as you want. So if you want to add another picture, you would put comma and then 2 quote marks, and you can find another picture online. For example, my favorite guitar player is Buckethead. So maybe I want to add this picture. So I'll do a control click here, copy image address, and then I'll paste that in between these. The next thing that's going to run is a little bit more complicated. It's going to be a loop. And a loop is really important in code because it allows the computer to repeat the same instructions over and over again. And that's kind of what happens with the slideshow. It just repeatedly shows the next picture in the list. So the name of the loop that we're using in JavaScript is setInterval. So a setInterval loop repeats these commands, whatever we write here, in between this and this curly parenthesis. It repeats those over time infinitely. So what we want to repeat is get the image from the list. So get either the 0th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th image from this list. Then we'll update the source. And if you've been paying attention, you'll see that the source is this thing in the HTML element. So actually, the JavaScript, what it will do is we'll actually go in, and it will change the source to the file names, in the JavaScript, to these file names. Then what we'll do is we want to display the next image, so we're going to say update the image number to the previous image number. So if we were on image 3 before, it will say update the image number to 3 plus 1. So the next time through the loop, the image will display 3 plus 1 is 4. Now finally, you might think about what problem we might encounter here. I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 images. If I keep going up by 1, eventually I'm going to go too high of a number. So I might get image 5 or image 6 or image 7. And I definitely don't want to do that because I've got nothing to display there. So what we did here is we said if the image number becomes the same size as the length, what I want to do is I want to actually go back to the start, which would be image 0. So if our image number becomes too large, we'll go back to the start, which is image 0. And that's all we have to worry about in our JavaScript. So right now, I should actually have a slideshow on my About Me page that works. So let's see if we do. Super cool. So I can see all those pictures coming through, and I actually am really proud of the way it came out. So this is our first example where we combined all 3 coding languages along with looking at uploading images. This is a nice challenge. All right, guys, I hope you found it fun.